here at the house. This is the nigga and the bitch. The nigga, I got his phone number. He won't answer the phone. Phone is going straight to voicemail. Like, nobody's have been home all weekend. We've been here since Saturday night. And this nigga not answering. He got hella different addresses and hella shit. Like, this shit hella fucking dirty. Like, this shit is just fucking crazy. Like, a motherfucker came through the back over there. The phone was on the roof over there in the school, directly right here. And yeah.
Tonight, where police say they found the body of a woman who was reported missing last week.
Friday night, September 28th, 2025. A woman walks into a house on 14th Street in Vallejo, California. By Tuesday morning, police would pull her dismembered body from behind a wall. The man who put her there? He'd already clocked into his shift at Six Flags that same morning. Smiled at coworkers. Fixed rides. Went home. Have you ever had someone in your life vanish without explanation? That sickening moment when texts go unanswered, calls go straight to voicemail, and every passing hour tightens the knot in your stomach? Renia Lewis's family felt that terror for 72 hours while police searched the wrong places.
The last location was here, and her last location pinged right here, but we still looked in the area. We looked in garbage cans. We looked everywhere.
Since she was reported missing on Sunday. On Tuesday came news that her body was found at this house.
The reaction is just distraught. I was distraught, confused, lost, hopeless.
Police say the suspect lived in a detached unit in the backyard.
With a search warrant, we were able to do a thorough search, and we located Miss Lewis inside the residence.
Sad, and it's really scary for a lot of these young ladies out here on the streets of Vallejo. Vallejo's a small community, so it really shook the whole community up.
I want to find my daughter like that. You know, we all have children in this world, whether they're grown or little. As a parent, you wouldn't want to find your children like that.
What they found when they stopped trusting the system would expose a failure so profound, it required a statewide alert just to get justice moving. Central question: how does a family with a cell phone accomplish what trained detectives couldn't? Asterisk. Renia Lewis was 28 years old. Born and raised in Berkeley, she'd recently moved to Vallejo. She was the kind of daughter who stayed close to home. Her mother, Terry Lewis, could tell you that. Their bond wasn't just strong. It was the kind that meant daily check-ins, shared meals, plans for the future. Friday, September 28th, around 10 p.m., Renia was last seen near a residence on 14th Street. Not a bar, not a party, a house. She walked in expecting to walk back out. She never did. By Saturday morning, her phone stopped pinging. By Saturday afternoon, her family knew something was catastrophically wrong. Renia didn't disappear. Renia didn't go silent. Not like this. Not without a fight. Sunday, September 30th. Renia's family filed a missing person report with the Vallejo Police Department. Officers responded quickly. They went to the 14th Street address. They performed what they called a welfare check. They searched the main residence. They checked bedrooms. They opened closets. They looked under beds, behind furniture, in common hiding spots. They found nothing. Case stalled. But Renia's family refused to wait. While officers were wrapping up their report, her relatives were already moving. They weren't detectives. They didn't have badges or warrants. What they had was something more powerful: refusal to accept silence. They tracked her cell phone signal. They followed the GPS coordinates across Vallejo, block by block, until it led them to a school building near 14th Street. Not inside the school. On top of it. Renia's phone was abandoned on the roof. The police searched. They searched rooms. They searched closets. But they didn't search hard enough. Her family found the evidence that mattered in less than 48 hours. So here's the question that should haunt every officer who walked through that house on Sunday. How does a family with consumer-grade tech succeed where trained investigators fail? To that house would confirm the family's worst fears and reveal a level of cruelty that defies comprehension. Welcome to Unseen True Crime Stories, where the darkest secrets and untold cases come to light. Consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next true crime story. Monday morning, October 1st, 2025. The California Highway Patrol issued an ebony alert for Renia Lewis. If you've never heard of an ebony alert, you're not alone. Most people haven't. It's a statewide notification system created specifically for missing Black women and children who vanish under suspicious circumstances. It exists because history has proven that when Black women go missing, the response is slower. The media coverage is thinner. The resources are fewer. There's even a term for it: missing white woman syndrome. It describes the media's obsession with certain cases while others equally urgent, equally tragic get buried on page 7 or ignored entirely. The Ebony Alert was California's answer to that inequity. It forces the system to treat these disappearances with the urgency they deserve. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Renia's case needed this alert because the initial response failed. Remember that cursory search on Sunday? Keep that in mind, because what detectives find on Tuesday will make you question whether that first search was incompetence or something worse. The Ebony Alert wasn't the only escalation. The Vallejo Police Department reached out to the FBI. Federal agents provided what the department described as investigative support and resources. Translation: the local response wasn't enough, and they knew it. This is rare. Most missing person cases, even suspicious ones, don't trigger federal involvement within 72 hours. The fact that the FBI stepped in signals that someone, somewhere, recognized the stakes were catastrophic. So let's pause and ask the question no one wanted to say out loud. Why did it take a specialized alert and federal agents to get local police to search harder? Why wasn't the family's discovery of the phone on the school roof enough? Why wasn't the 14th Street address flagged for a deeper investigation the moment Renia was reported missing? The answer is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Tuesday, October 2nd. Detectives returned to 14th Street. This time, they weren't conducting a welfare check. They had a search warrant, legal authority to tear through every inch of the property. And this time, they weren't just focused on the main house. They went to the backyard. There was a detached unit out there, a shed, but not the kind you store lawn equipment in. This one was designed as living space. Insulated walls, electricity, a place someone could stay. Someone had been staying there. The main house was where officers had conducted their Sunday search. Bedrooms, closets, common areas. They'd checked all of that. But the detached unit? That's where they should have started. Inside that detached unit, investigators found a concealed entry, an attic access most people would walk right past. The kind you'd miss unless you were looking for it, unless you knew it was there. And behind a wall that shouldn't have been there, they found Renia Lewis. Or what was left of her. The detached unit had an attic. Not the kind you access with a pull-down ladder in a hallway. This was concealed, tucked away, built to be invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Renia's cousin, LaToya Lewis, put it plainly. You would miss it because my baby girl was hidden behind a wall. A secret wall they placed her behind. Let that sink in. A wall, not a tarp thrown over a body. Not a closet door hastily shut. A wall. The kind you build with lumber, nails, drywall. The kind that requires tools. Hours of work. A plan. This wasn't a man trying to buy himself time to think. This was a man who knew exactly what he was doing from the moment Renia stopped breathing. You don't construct a false wall in a panic. You don't climb into an attic and seal off an entry point because you're scared. You do it because you believe you can get away with it. Because you think if you hide her well enough, no one will ever find her. He almost succeeded. Prosecutors confirmed that a knife was used in the killing. But the family revealed something far worse. Renia's body had been dismembered before it was hidden. Sergeant Rashad Hollis, speaking to reporters, struggled to keep his composure. This was a horrific crime, he said. Not only did this bring pain to the family, it brought pain to the community. Horrific doesn't begin to cover it. He didn't just kill her, he erased her. Piece by piece, He tried to make Renia Lewis disappear, not just from sight, but from existence. He reduced her to something he could manage, something he could hide in an attic crawl space where sunlight doesn't reach and neighbors don't hear. This level of violence doesn't come from rage alone. Rage burns hot and fast. This was cold, methodical, sustained over hours. Let's talk about what dismemberment actually means in a case like this. It's not about sadism. It's about logistics. A human body is bulky, difficult to move without being seen, difficult to fit into small spaces. But if you reduce the size, if you separate limbs from torso, suddenly the problem becomes manageable. You can transport remains in bags. You can fit them into crawl spaces that wouldn't accommodate a full body. The secret wall construction tells us he was thinking long-term. He wasn't planning to move her later. He wasn't planning to dispose of her elsewhere. He wanted her to stay there. This wasn't rage. This was calculation. And here's the part that should terrify you. He succeeded for days. While Renia's family was posting flyers and tracking her phone, while police were conducting welfare checks and filing reports, her body was 10 feet away from where officers had been standing on Sunday, behind a wall they never thought to look for. The man who built that wall went to work the next day, clocked in at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom like nothing happened, greeted coworkers, fixed amusement park rides, took his lunch break, went home. And when detectives arrested him on Tuesday, he told them everything. No lawyers, no denials. He admitted what he'd done. If this story is making your blood run cold, leave a comment below. Tell me, how does someone compartmentalize this kind of evil? How do you hide a dismembered body behind a wall and then show up to work with a smile? And don't forget to hit that like button if you want more deep dives into cases the system almost let slip away. Because what comes next is just as disturbing. The man behind the wall had done this before. Not murder, but control. And someone tried to warn the world about him 2 years earlier. The detached unit had an attic. Not the kind you access with a pull-down ladder in a hallway. This was concealed, tucked away, built to be invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Renia's cousin, Renia Lewis, put it plainly. You would miss it because my baby girl was hidden behind a wall. A secret wall they placed her behind. Let that sink in. A wall. Not a tarp thrown over a body. Not a closet door hastily shut. A wall. The kind you build with lumber, nails, drywall. The kind that requires tools. Hours of work. A plan. This wasn't a man trying to buy himself time to think. This was a man who knew exactly what he was doing from the moment Renia stopped breathing. You don't construct a false wall in a panic. You don't climb into an attic and seal off an entry point because you're scared. You do it because you believe you can get away with it. Because you think if you hide her well enough, no one will ever find her. His name is Douglas Irwin Shaw, 41 years old. Mechanic at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo. The kind of job where you fix roller coasters, keep rides running, make sure families have a good time. Tuesday, October 2nd, detectives walked into Six Flags and arrested him. No drama, no chase, no resistance. The report said he was taken without incident. That phrase, without incident, tells you everything you need to know about how Shaw operated. He'd worked his shift that morning, showed up on time, did his job, smiled at coworkers, maybe, clocked out for lunch, went through the motions like it was any other Tuesday. But it wasn't any other Tuesday. 72 hours earlier, he'd hidden Renia Lewis's dismembered body behind a wall in his backyard unit. He'd constructed a false entry to an attic. He'd disposed of her phone on a school roof. And then he'd gone to work. That's not guilt eating away at someone. That's not a man crumbling under the weight of what he's done. That's compartmentalization at a level most people can't comprehend. After his arrest, Shaw didn't ask for a lawyer, he confessed. Told detectives he was responsible for Renia's death. Admitted what he'd done. But here's what makes this case even more disturbing. Shaw and Renia Lewis had no established relationship. According to both police and her family, they may have only recently met. Not a boyfriend. Not an ex-husband. Not someone she'd known for years. A stranger, or close to it. Police didn't provide a motive. No argument over money. No history of threats. No jealousy. No betrayal. No revenge plot. Just a meeting. A conversation. And then violence so extreme it required dismemberment and a hidden wall. So let's ask the question, what kind of rage explodes between strangers? Or was this something else entirely? A former girlfriend of Douglas Shaw came forward after his arrest. She'd met him at Six Flags. They worked together. Eventually, they dated. And eventually, she had to file a restraining order against him. That was in 2023, 2 years before Renia Lewis died. The former girlfriend and her father both spoke to reporters. They described Shaw the same way, a narcissist who believed everyone else was wrong. Not just confident, not just stubborn, a man who couldn't tolerate being challenged, a man who needed to be right, to be in control, to have the final word in every situation. When you lose that control as a narcissist, the reaction isn't sadness. It's not introspection. It's rage. He needed control. When he lost it in 2023, she got a restraining order. When he lost it in 2025, Renia Lewis lost her life. The restraining order was the warning sign. It documented a pattern of behavior that made someone fear for their safety enough to involve the courts. It put Shaw's need for dominance on the public record. And it predicted exactly what would happen if that need was ever challenged by someone who didn't know his history. Go back to the beginning of this video. Remember how I said her phone was found on a school roof? Shaw put it there. He knew what he was doing every step of the way. The disposal of evidence. The construction of the wall. The return to normalcy at work. This wasn't a man spiraling out of control. This was a man executing a plan. By Thursday, the Solano County District Attorney filed formal murder charges. Shaw is being held without bail in Solano County Jail. Prosecutors confirmed he used a knife in the killing. But for Renia's family, the legal system moves too slow. Arraignments, hearings, motions, delays, and their grief? It demands something the courts can't give.
And new at 11 here, a tragic discovery in the city of Vallejo. Police confirming the body of a missing woman has been found inside the wall of a home. And tonight, a suspect has been taken into custody. Her disappearance triggered an ebony alert issued by CHP, and now her loved ones are grappling with the devastating news. Betty Yu has the story.
What did she do to you for you to kill her and then put her in a wall? When he said, "We found your daughter," I just collapsed. I was like, I can't believe this. And I was praying. I said, God, please don't let it be her. Please don't let it be her. And he did not answer my prayer.
It was the news no one in 28-year-old Renia Lewis's family wanted to hear. Police found her body behind a wall inside this home on 14th Street in Vallejo. Her mother last texted her on Friday and thought it was unusual not to get a response.
When they found her body behind the wall. They nailed her body behind the wall.
Vallejo police announced late Tuesday that they had arrested Douglas Shaw. It's still unclear what his relationship is to Renia or to the home.
The person that they have in custody is being cooperative. Stated that he did indeed kill Renia. He threw her phone on top of the school. That's the most information that I have.
Police now have Renia's phone, which her family says last pinged at this address. Her mother used the Life 360 app to track her final location, and her cousin LaToya helped lead the family's search in the area.
Renia was the best loving person. The girl loved to cook. She loved her family.
Has received numerous prank calls, people pretending to be Renia, luring her mother to false addresses and demanding money.
I am devastated. That's my youngest daughter. Her birthday is on Monday. She would have been 29.
Terry Lewis didn't mince words. "I will never see my daughter again because of this monster," she told reporters, her voice breaking under the weight of grief no parent should ever carry. But grief wasn't the only thing in her voice. There was rage. Pure, righteous rage. He needs to get life so he can sit there and suffer. Not death. Not a quick exit. Life. Behind bars. Every single day, for the rest of his existence, knowing exactly what he did and why he's there. Renia's uncle, Emmett Lewis, took to Facebook with his own message. Raw, unfiltered. He confessed to this shit. He said in a video that quickly went viral. He had my niece in a wall. No polished press statement. No careful wording. Just a family member standing in front of a camera and telling the truth that law enforcement reports sometimes sanitize. This is what happens when the system forces families to become investigators, spokespeople, and advocates all at once. They stop waiting for official channels. They speak directly to the public because the public is listening when institutions aren't moving fast enough. Outside the 14th Street home, a memorial began to grow. Flowers, candles, handwritten notes. Strangers who'd never met Renia Lewis left tokens of grief and solidarity because her story had reached them, because her family's fight had moved them. The memorial wasn't just about mourning. It was about visibility. Every bouquet, every candle, every message was a refusal to let her disappear the way Shaw had intended. Social media played a critical role in this case, and not just after her body was found. When Renia went missing, her family didn't wait for police press conferences. They posted her photo everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, local community groups. They mobilized hundreds of people over a single weekend. That footwork, as the community called it, is what actually solved this case. Not the initial welfare check, not the first police report, the family's relentless refusal to let the system tell them to wait and be patient. They tracked her phone. They found it on a school roof. They handed police a location, and that forced the investigation forward. Let's be honest about what this case exposed. The initial police response failed. Officers conducted a cursory search and found nothing. Meanwhile, Renia's family, using technology anyone can access, located her phone within hours. That contrast isn't just embarrassing. It's evidence of a deeper problem. Missing Black women and children have historically been deprioritized. Their cases get less media attention, fewer resources, slower responses. The Ebony Alert exists because California lawmakers recognized that the default system wasn't working for everyone equally.
Of killing the woman and hiding her at his house faced a judge for the first time in this case.
41-year-old Douglas Shaw was arrested Tuesday at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom where he worked. Case Area 3's Danica Hill joining us live outside the Solano County Courthouse right now. So just a horrific story here, Danica, and understandably just an emotional day in court.
Absolutely, Golson. It was hard to watch this family sit out here and witness all of this. Again, as you described, an emotional day for the family, dozens of them filling that courtroom, all for the arraignment of Douglas Shaw. This was Shaw's first court appearance since he was arrested Tuesday at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, where he worked. Shaw, represented by a public defender, said very few words during the hearing. He's facing one count of felony murder for the death of 28-year-old Renia Lewis. Her family now calling for the maximum punishment.
My hope for him is that he get the death penalty.
Lewis's family tracked her phone to a home in Vallejo after they stopped hearing from her, and that's where police found her body. They say they're still trying to process the fact that she's gone.
Well, at this point, our family is under grievance. We are devastated at this time, and we just ask the public, we ask every person to please keep our family in prayer.
Lewis was just days away from her 29th birthday, her family describing her as a loving person.
Renia is a sweet young lady. It's a lot. And when it comes to our family, everyone knows. What I want you guys to know is Renia was a queen. That's who she was.
And the other message from that family was how united they were. You could see just how many people were there, and that was the message that they wanted to get out. Now, as for Shaw, the judge did set no bail for him, and he is expected to be back in court next Thursday.
If this story moved you, share it. Renia's name deserves to be remembered for who she was, not just how she died. A daughter, a cousin, a young woman with a family that loved her enough to do what the system wouldn't. Subscribe if you want more cases where the system failed first and families finished the fight. Because these stories matter, not just for the victims, but for the people still out there who need to know they're not alone, that someone is watching, that justice is possible even when institutions fall short. Justice for Renia isn't just a verdict. It's making sure no one else gets hidden behind a wall. It's making sure no one else is invisible. Thank you for watching.